So I've had, I titled this effort, but then I was kind of thinking about, a couple of other aspects of this, and I tried to shoehorn it into being about effort. So we'll see what you think of this. But I do want to talk about effort in our practice tonight, and I really encourage folks to, when we sit, not necessarily to ruminate or think about what you're going to say or some idea, but let's sit with this when I finish, and then we can talk about it. And please feel free to participate and bring up anything that occurs to you as a result of this. Hopefully something well. And it's coming off of Sesshin, it seems like a timely topic. Sesshin takes effort. I've talked to people who've never done this before, and they say, "Oh, that sounds so wonderful. It must be so relaxing." And and I don't know if I wrote this in here, but I got 7.5 hours of sleep both nights, and I got home yesterday and I was beat. I got home at like 2 o'clock, and I was wiped out. I was exhausted. It takes a bunch of effort to sit all day, breath after breath, moment after moment, and do nothing. So effort is a key thing for us. Sesshin takes effort. It's all day, every breath, every moment. There's nowhere you can go to avoid using some kind of effort to face yourself, to face nothing going on, to embrace what's in front of you, especially when there's nothing going on. We really need stuff to be going on. I'll speak for myself. I make stuff up, just to entertain myself. But there's nowhere to hide when you're in that situation. So effort is required. But in our practice, what kind of effort should we be exerting? What's this look like? And I think we all have an answer to that, because most everybody here, if not everybody in the room, sits with some regularity, and we're making some kind of an effort. Sometimes the effort's merely to say, I don't feel like doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's the effort. Sometimes it's that simple. Roshi, the other day when we started, I think in his opening comments, he said something like, "You've done the hard part. You're here on Friday night." So, did I dream that? I did. Okay, good. You've done the hard part. You're here. So now you just let it go. So we often talk about our practice being, peaceful and calm, accepting. But at other times, with other kinds of instruction about how to do Zazen, we describe practicing with energy and this intense single-minded focus and concentration, almost like it's life and death. It might be. It might be. And which one of these two, this sort of peaceful, calm, accepting attitude, or this more intense, highly focused mindset, which is right? How do we hold these two perspectives that on the surface appear to be somewhat contradictory or mutually exclusive, maybe? How can they both be active at the same time? How do we practice with Zazen instructions that at the same time include sitting peacefully, confident that we're whole and complete, that we're already Buddhas, nothing to do, while at the same time focusing with laser-like intention to wake up and realize who we are and what's really going on? How do we do both of those things? And can they coexist? You know, we're in the middle of Ongo, and one of the translations or one of the references to Ongo is peaceful dwelling. We call this peaceful dwelling. We use other terms like sitting with the faith that we're already realized, or don't strive to gain anything. There's nothing to be gained. You've got it already. Embrace things as they are, right here, right now. There's I just ran across this last year. There's a teacher, and the history varies, I guess, from the 10th through the 11th century in India, more in the Vajrayana line, an Indian master named Tilopa. Maybe some of you have heard of Tilopa. And there's a short text called Tilopa's 6 Nails, or the 6 Words of Advice. And I love this. I actually have this on my wall in my office at home. And he says, don't recall, let go of what has passed. Don't imagine, let go of what may come. Don't think, let go of what's happening now. Don't examine, don't try to figure anything out. Don't control. Don't try to make anything happen. Rest. Relax. Right now. Rest. I love that. We hear a lot about letting go and not trying from Tilopa. You know, in one of the best Zen books ever written, Suzuki Roshi says about effort, our effort and our practice should be directed from achievement to non-achievement. And then he also says, so try not to see something in particular, try not to achieve anything special. You already have everything in your own pure quality. This is that one perspective on one side of things. Isn't that wonderful and reassuring? Hey, I'm good. I've got this. It's cool. Then on the other side of things, we have, you know, so many references, and I'll just make a couple. From one of the koan collections is called the Mumonkan, and a number of people have translated and commented on the 48 koans that are in the Mumonkan and the commentaries that were written back when on each of those. Zenkei Shibayama has commentary on the first koan that's in that collection, and this is the Mu koan, which I would imagine most of us have heard of, if not have worked with. And he describes a different feeling for our practice than I just described from Tilopa and from Suzuki Roshi. These are my words, but I'd refer to it as an altogether more muscular posture. I actually think this description applies to all the ways we practice our Zazen, not just working on the Mu koan or other koans. And the first koan is Joshu's dog, and I don't mean to be talking about the koan itself, but I want to talk about his commentary about how to work with it. But for reference, the koan basically is a monk asked Joshu, which is the Japanese name for the Chinese Zen master Jiaozhou Kongshen, a 9th century master. He asked him, has a dog Buddha nature or not? And Joshu answered, Mu, which Japanese expression of the Chinese word basically meaning no or not, or negating. Doesn't have. This is a problem for Buddhists. all self-respecting Buddhists would say, what's up with that? Everything except the dog? How can that be? Somebody told me it's everything and the dog. So there's a problem to be solved there. But in his commentary on Mumon, who put this collection together originally, and then Zenkei Shibayama commented, and they're giving these instructions for what to do with this. This is the other side from Tilopa. For the attainment of incomparable satori, one has to cast away his discriminating mind, overlook the his, it was a long time ago. Then concentrate yourself into this move with your 360 bones and 84,000 pores, making your whole body one great inquiry. Day and night work intently at it. Perhaps somebody here has counted their bones or pores. I'm going to take it on faith that those numbers are roughly right. I think he's making more of a point than coming up with an exact physical inventory. But we get the idea. What he's talking about is not exactly 360 bones. He's talking about all in. Every single ounce of energy and effort that we can muster. And then more. All that and more. And then he says, it's like having bolted, meaning swallowed, eaten, taken in. It's like having bolted a red hot iron ball. You try to vomit it, but you cannot. Not so much letting go or not trying in that state, is there? With a red hot iron ball stuck in your throat. Doesn't sound like too much peaceful dwelling. Sounds like a fire drill. How do these two things coexist in my practice? Or in my mind? Or in my effort? Going back to effort again. Do I pick one of these types of effort? Or are they really the same? Then a little bit more from Shibayama. He says, now how should you strive? He says, with might and main, work at this move and be moved. If you do not stop or waver in your striving, then behold, when the Dharma candle is lighted, darkness is at once enlightened. To some extent, these two, kind of postures in our Zazen line up with different kinds of practice. One is a little more like Shikantaza, one is a little more like koan practice. But at the same time, this is my perspective, take it for what it's worth. Don't believe me because I'm saying it. But at the same time, it seems to me they're both present, one in the other. Shikantaza takes enormous effort and focus. Though it's a broad, expansive focus, it takes the same energy, effort, and commitment. And at the same time, koan practice requires us to not separate ourselves from anything, to not set up some goal or some imagined state of mind or attainment or some other future achievement. Just this, right here, only now, not two. Just asking myself this ridiculous question over and over and over and over. With all my effort, all 84,000 pores and 360 bones. So our practice requires us to find harmony between these two mental postures, to sit with equanimity and calm patience while we strive with all those bones and pores to realize our true nature. And maybe our muscles and skin and eyeballs and our breath too. So what do we do with this? What will you do? I sat my first session in 1978. I was younger. I think it works that way. And it was a week-long session at Shasta Abbey in Northern California. And I'd never sat, kind of like the woman that Michelle and Sokyo and I sat with this weekend. I'd never sat more than an hour. So I signed up for a week-long session, and perhaps I should have done a little more inquiry or maybe some due diligence as to, what the hell this was going to be about. And I wasn't prepared for what I'd gotten myself into. But I made it through, and I'm still here, so survivable. And I'd taken a notebook with me and a pen, and I was pretty certain that I would record a volume of deep thoughts. That I'd come away with, for future reference, be able to look back on it and draw on the deep thoughts that came up during this week. Kind of a literary trail of breadcrumbs, so to speak. Or, because I'd stolen the secrets from the cave and I wrote them down. I actually thought that. I still have that notebook. And I only wrote down one thing. I only had one deep thought. The whole week. It was one word. I wrote down the word try, T-R-Y, try. Just that. I should ask for my money back. But I was thoroughly satisfied that summed up the whole week. There are about 90 pages left in the notebook that I didn't fill in. Just that one word, try. And that was the effort part. At least understood. I may not have stolen the secrets from the cave, but I know what to do next. That was worth it. So I see these two postures as not being at odds at all, but rather being compatible, interdependent, and they rest on one another, and they're both essential. Sitting, peacefully dwelling, utterly confident that everything I need, I got. And intensely inquiring as to what it is, and who am I, and what's going on. After all, can there be two Zens? So I suggest the path forward with this kind of dichotomy, I guess, lies in this moment. In this moment, there's no room for two postures. There's no room for multiple approaches. There's no room for conflict or contradiction. How does this feel to you? This effortless effort.